Hey, thanks for coming back for another edition of the Free Exchange of Ideas with Donovan and John. Today, we are going to talk about health and obesity in particular, and kind of how we got here and
Fitness.
what, huh?
In fitness.
And fitness, yeah. Uh, how our nation is so unfit that we cannot bolster our military anymore. They've already lowered the standards for education and fitness, and they still can't get enough people to show up and do
So
the
you
job.
watched the video I sent you.
I did. Yeah, it was
Okay.
quite interesting. Um, so, uh, and this was actually Donovan's idea. I didn't disagree with it. I think it's a great idea because I am certainly unfit. Uh, I mean, I'm 60. I couldn't join the military if I looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It wouldn't matter. But
Have you seen
uh,
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I did. I just saw a picture of him with his son-in-law. Shoot. I could see his face and can't think of his name.
He just had a birthday. His birthday was Saturday.
Yeah, they said, yeah, they were standing next to each other. And he said, "Happy birthday to the legend." Uh, but he's actually taller than Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I mean by quite a bit. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Happy birthday, Arnold. One of my
Yeah,
favorite Republicans.
yeah,
Besides John.
because he's a very
John's a
liberal
constitutionalist.
Republican. Um, but yeah. So and you know, not to take away from Arnold's birthday, kind of to add on to it, when he was before he was governor of California, he was working with was it Papa Bush and Reagan to do the national fitness thing, where he would go to schools and show like from elementary all the way through high school.
Was
He
he
would
involved
show.
with Reagan in that back in the 80s? I
I
don't
was gonna say
recall.
I don't recall who exactly. That's why I
Yeah.
said Papa Bush first. I think might have been Junior, might have been Bush Junior. At any rate, he did that, and he would go around to schools and do a whole fitness thing with them, kind of get them into doing fitness. I was already in college or almost in college by the time he got to that, and so I didn't get the benefit of that. But that doesn't matter. Um, when I
I mean, you got benefits in other ways, though,
I
coming up
did,
as,
but
when we did.
one of the reasons I got here, uh, the first reason I used to box and uh, got hit once, got knocked out once, I should say, and just
Damage your brain forever.
oh God, no, it was way before that. Um, but to explain what happens when you get knocked out, your immediate memory, 30 seconds to about 45 seconds, disappears. Your brain just doesn't hang on to it. So you have no idea what occurred. If you've never been knocked out, you don't know why you're on the canvas instead of standing up fighting. Uh, and it takes a couple of seconds for you to kind of settle everything back down to where you can start to function again. And you've only got a 10-second count to get that to happen. So you got to recognize where you're at. You got to figure out why you're on there and put it back together and stand up.
Got knocked out twice.
You got knocked out twice? Never saw it, did you?
No, well, once I fell down a mountain.
Oh, that doesn't count. Yeah, rocks
and,
don't count.
And second time was in a car accident.
Oh yeah, then you're going so your eyes are closed anyway.
Yeah, we got sideswiped. I hit the window, knocked me out.
Oh yeah, that happened to my wife. But anyway, so I stopped boxing, and then right after that, my 19th birthday, I was run over by a car, and that put me in the hospital for 6 days, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk any distance for about I think it was like 6 or 9 months. So I continued to eat the way I ate when I trained because I was used to eating that way. It was on a schedule, and there was a lot of food involved. And now I weigh 205 pounds. When I boxed, I was 153. At the end of that 9-month period after my auto accident, I weighed about 190 pounds. I worked really, really
Pounds,
hard
huh?
to get back down to 163 pounds so I could join the military. Um, and then when I was in basic, I got up to 174, which was my maximum amount of weight. Now I think I could probably get 186 or 187 pounds is my maximum weight. Not because of my age, but because of the limitations the military has had to pull back on. At 174 pounds, I wasn't thin. I was chubby, but I could lift 174 pounds at the same time. So there was a lot of strength involved, but not a lot of weight control, right? So, and now because they've had to pull back on some of these restrictions, education. At the time, I had to graduate from high school. I had to have either a diploma or a proficiency exam diploma or a GED. Um, Now you don't have to graduate from high school to join the military. I think you do have to have at least a ninth grade education, so it's lowered it quite a bit. And like I said, I went from what my maximum weight at the time was. I was 5'7". My maximum weight was 174 pounds, and now I think the maximum weight is at 5'7" is 185 or 186. So they've made that. Well, at 100, honestly, at 185 pounds, if I was in the military, there's no way I could have carried a 75-pound rucksack. I would not have been able to. I wouldn't have had the muscle tone to do it. I would have had too much weight on me. Uh, and that's just a reality of things. When I remember when fire departments started lowering their um, requirements to allow some women in, because one of their requirements was to be able to carry 185-pound man or 225-pound man, I forget, dummy, right? Down 5 flights of stairs, or up 5 flights and then down 5 flights of stairs and across the parking lot to a stop, right? And you had to do it in a certain amount of time. When women really wanted to get into the fire department and they weren't, 175 to 250-pound men in really good shape, they had to lower standard to allow it to happen. I, if I'm honest, I was against that specifically because 175-pound man to 100 to 225-pound man was an average weighted man. Uh, uh, the the average height for an American male from like the 90s to the 2010 uh, is 5 feet 9 inches, 195 pounds. That was the average American male. A female who could meet the height requirement, because the height requirement for fire department I think was 5'8" or 5'9". Uh, that was minimum height requirement. Woman that's 5'8" or 5'9". My mother was 5'8", weighed 128 pounds at her best. Um, I think maybe a little bit lighter, but there's absolutely no way she could have carried my father, who was 5'6" and weighed 130 pounds. She couldn't even lift him off the ground. So that's kind of where I was coming from in that. I mean, I get wanting to have women on board anything, Navy, fire department, police, whatever. I get it because they actually think differently than men. They're not nearly as quick to anger. Um, they generally speak to people so they can understand better what that person is going through, and they uh, can communicate to that individual. But we don't really have those kind of uh, restrictions anymore. We have to, because we are now an obese nation. We've had to lower restrictions and allow heavier people with and honestly, at 205 pounds, I can tell you now my knees are crap to begin with from the accident. But at 205 pounds, I can't run a 60-yard dash. That I would I could well, I suppose I could run it. Let me put that in finger quotes because I'd be going really slow. It would look more like a trot to most people. But I would not be able to do the full 60 yards. It would actually destroy my knees. I wouldn't be able to finish it. And I know this, so I don't go out for those things. Uh, if I got down to 180 pounds again, that might make a little difference. But honestly, if I'm honest with myself, 175 would be 170 to 175. That would probably be optimal. I'm 60, so that
25,
probably
30 pounds is a lot of weight to take off your knees, though.
your knees, your lower back, your hip.
Yeah.
I mean, and my knees, my my right hip and my low back are shot from the car accident. So
You should try riding a bike.
I do. I have it right there. Hold on, I'll show you. You see that?
Woo!
That's an old Huffy bike.
It's hardtail. That's what I ride a hardtail, dude.
That's a very
Old school.
yeah. I like it though because it's not. I mean, I actually had to take my car to the shop like first thing in the morning a few weeks ago, and so I put the bike in the trunk and then drove down, dropped my car off, took the bike to my dentist appointment, and then home. Oh my God, it was only like 4 miles. It was the hardest thing I've done in months.
I told you to start doing jumping jacks with your push-ups.
Can't do jumping jacks with my knees. Cannot.
Can't do them?
Not, huh?
Can't do them, huh? We'll
No.
talk. We'll talk. I'll figure out something for you.
Oh, I'm trying to get. There's a yoga program that this old wrestler did, and it's really good because it's limiting yoga. It's not like full out stretches and stuff because he can't do that anymore. But he's lost. I think he dropped 60 or 70 pounds when he started doing it because after he quit wrestling, again he was still eating like he was training, and he was tightening up because his tendons were tightening up.
Yeah.
And then he just started doing this yoga. He couldn't do full yoga, so he would do what he could do, and he eventually started, being able to stretch out further and lost his weight.
I'm supposed to do that too. My doctor, when I talked to her 2 months ago, was like, "You need to start stretching." I'd never been a good stretcher. And yoga. So to me, yoga and Pilates is. I look at stretching as if you can't do stretching in 15 or 20 minutes, you're doing it wrong. Like, why would you do an hour of stretching?
What do you do after that? Go home.
I was like, I got things to do, like ride a bike, go run, work out.
Yeah. So now I know you gave me a bunch of stuff to look at. Because I can go back to
Like a
one of
month
the
ago.
things that, huh?
Like a month ago.
Yeah, I know. We really messed up on this one a couple of times. Well, I did. He didn't. Anyway,
I was sick. I had COVID last week. I couldn't do it, so I
and
apologize.
he sounded like crap. I mean, he sounds so much better. I'm so much happier.
Dying last week.
So happy to see him doing well. Because I can go back to the high fructose corn syrup, which started in the 60s and 70s.
70s, yep.
Yeah, high fructose corn syrup is highly addictive. Your body craves it. It comes in cereal, it comes in candy bars, it comes in syrup, soda, anything that has a sugar content that is a sugar type thing, like cereal, soda, syrup, has cornstarch or corn syrup in it. And the reason it has corn syrup in it is because sugar is not nearly as addictive. It is addictive, but on such a small scale that it doesn't create profits like corn syrup does. High fructose corn syrup. Yeah.
I mean, I even told you, like, I got a lot of anecdotal stuff I'm gonna probably be throwing out during the show.
Yeah.
But I was bartending 3 years ago in California, and we were working with these guys from Ireland that were there, I guess on internship. For business school, they were there bartending. And but I remember talking to them, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with Americans with putting salt and sugar in everything that we have? They're like, you can't even, they're like that, like, why do you put that in your bread? Stuff like that. They were like, you can't even, the stuff we have here, like their grocery stores are totally different in Europe than what we have here. And a lot of them, what we call
they're smaller too.
Yeah, well, we call farmers markets. So we go for fun on a weekend and go buy fruits and vegetables we throw away a week later.
Right.
That's what they go do on a daily basis. Because they're always there. And so they're the way they shop, the way they eat, the way they cook. Compared to the fast food that we have, and I'm currently doing merchandising for a grocery store for a job, and I was like cracking up, like they got like the microwavable bowls of macaroni. I'm like, what lazy mofo can't boil water and cook freaking macaroni? They have to microwave it already pre-cooked in a bowl. I'm like, how lazy are we? It's like, I know everything's time consuming. Everything, I mean, time's finite. I get that. But it just bugs me sometimes that, the way we look at food in this country, and I think I've even talked to you about this. I'm like, Americans don't know how to eat is kind of what I've come to conclusion of, and I told you too. The whole idea I got for the show was I actually saw the one video we are talking about with Lieutenant General Mark Hertling talk about obesity as
Right.
a national issue. Because of the military being unable to fulfill I don't know,
Quotas.
I don't want to use the word quotas, but requirements for the service because people are coming in and they can't do a minute of push-ups, a minute of sit-ups, and run a mile. You know, and to me, I mean, like even me now at my age, I'm like, who can't do that? Why can't you do that? And that's, I mean, but you know,
I
it's
can do
kind of
push-ups. I can do sit-ups. I can't do the running.
yeah, and it's just kind of to me, and me and John, I think we'll talk about this in the show as well, but you know, I think I kind of grew up as an athlete in high school, and I kind of continued that throughout my adult life, and I think I've been somewhat blessed genetically, probably, and thank my mom and dad for that. But you know, but I think a lot of that shoe is just, you know, and I'm not that great with it. I mean, I told John I was gonna go bike ride this morning, and I never did. So,
Oh, you didn't go? Oh, I'm sorry for that.
so it's all right. It's but it's just having a commitment and people that, you know, time, as like I said, is finite. Commitment to go work out, you know, and it's hard. And but and it's one of the things I've noticed is like the hardest part about working out is getting started. It's just doing it, right? You're just like this morning, I woke up early to go on a bike ride, and I ended up like taking leisurely breakfast, drinking my coffee. John called, Joey called. I was talking to my friend in Thailand, and it's kind of like then it was like 12:30, and I'm like, I'm hungry. So you know, it's kind of like, what do you do,
And
right?
see, like you're talking about motivation, right? Monday, did my push-ups. Tuesday, did my push-ups. No, not yesterday. I didn't do them yesterday because we had traffic like first thing in the morning, so I had a lot going on all day. And then today, no traffic first thing in the morning. Did my push-ups. And that's what I'm going to try and do every time I get to work. Do push-ups right away because nobody's coming in. Right now. I don't have to sweat it, and I can get it done. I can get moving on that, and I'm going to start um, here in the office. I mean, in my studio. Pretty soon, I'm going to start trying to do inverted push-ups, which is against the wall,
Yeah.
and I'm pushing my entire body weight up.
Okay.
I used to be able to do 35, but that was when I didn't weigh anywhere near this, and I was actually in relatively good shape. But then I really couldn't do anything with my arms the rest of the day. But but yeah, I'm gonna try and start doing those because my commitment when I did the 22 in November, 22 a day in November for 6,600 push-ups. My commitment then was by the time I get back to November this year, 22, I will be able to do 25 or 22 inverted push-ups a day. And so that's where I have to get back to. I had a problem in my back for like a month, and actually it's still kind of bugging me, but fuck it, I'm gonna go past it.
Yeah.
And
But
that's another motivation thing. This is now it's just a really minor thing, and all I have to do is just sit down and do them.
and that's one of the things we talked about too. I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there, but that was one of the things I think one of the videos I sent you, the TED Talks, was talking about making things a habit,
Right.
actually make a habit, and that's the biggest thing, right? Is actually making it a habit and not looking at it as like something I have to do, something that you want to do, and stuff like that. So, but the one thing at our age is also, and I've talked to you about this too, is injury and recovery.
Right.
And as a former athlete, if there's anything I've learned is recovery is really hard for me to do, to take an easy day or take a light day or even take a day off, especially when I'm in training mode. But I was telling John, like push-ups, I love push-ups. I'm really good at push-ups. I could I can bang out push-ups like nobody's business. But every time I start doing them and working out, I say this definitely, I always end up tweaking my shoulders, hurting my shoulders, And I was telling John maybe like a decade ago, I was working out, I was doing these push-ups, and I was like whimpering in tears before I finally went to the doctor, and I ended up having bursitis in one shoulder and tendonitis in the other. And the doctor was like, "Yeah, that must hurt." I was kind of like, yeah, you
Doctors
don't
are
even
gonna be
know.
kind of jerky like that.
Yeah, no, so, but it was, so it's just kind of, and that was 10 years ago. So, but it's just been, depending on your age, you're not 20 something or a teenager where you just like bounce back from things anymore either.
Right.
That. But like, but going back to what I was talking about, Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, I saw his video, TED Talks, it popped up. We got that much time left. Oh wow. So but I was just going to say, I watched that video and then I went shopping. I went food shopping and I'm sitting there and standing in the grocery store line, and there's a guy in front of me with a stack of frozen pizzas. In her cart, and I was just like, oh my god. And it's kind of like, don't look at us as a country, like how we eat, and not taking care of ourselves. And I mean, those two people in particular were not definitely reactive. And, I don't know how they could, like the one guy had like swollen ankles in front of me and stuff like that. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, definitely physical issues, which are things to think about too. If you're diabetic and things such as that, which is a big issue in this country as well, obesity, all those things but my big thing is just doing it and taking the time to do it and going out there. So and investing that time in yourself and your health. My grandmother, who's a teetotaler, doesn't drink. I talked to my dad on Saturday, come and call. We're having a big birthday for her this year. She's turning 100. So not doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. So there's definitely things to be said for that, I guess. But there's so much to talk about that we didn't touch on. But it's yeah, like me and John were going up. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina in the 70s and 80s. I had physical fitness all through school, from first grade all the way through I graduated high school. I had PE every year in every semester in high school, and that was just PE. And then we did sports. I was a big jock in high school too. So
well, he wasn't a big jock because he's only like 5 feet tall.
I wasn't a big jock, but I was a pretty well decorated jock. But and a lot of schools don't even do that anymore. They don't have the physical fitness requirements, which is showing up as Lieutenant General Mark Hertling said. As these people coming out of high school wanting to go into the military, and they can't do the basic physical fitness exams. So definitely, take the time, look at what you're eating, look at portions. That's one of the big things I think is portions of what we eat as a country. We tend to eat way too much foods, particularly when we go out to eat, compared to Europeans who give you really small meals and stuff like that. But yeah, just things like that is something to really look at. So take care of yourselves, people. We can be here a long time. People are living longer. And what kind of quality of life do you want if you're living longer, but you can't do anything, right? You can't walk, you can't do these other simple things to enjoy life. Why live longer, I guess. So all right, I guess that's it for me, Johnny.
All right, so like I said, Donovan sent me a bunch of stuff. I will link it all in the description box down below. If you could please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit the notification bell so you can see everything that we've done. You don't have to watch all my push-up videos because there's a ton of them. I mean, I admit it. Send it out to your friends. Send it out to your enemies. Just share it on Facebook. Look at that. That's a beef right there. I don't have that. You don't want to see the underside of my arms. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot for watching. We really do appreciate it. We really are working on our format to try and bring it down to a more bite-sized, manageable size, so that you guys don't go 50 minutes. I'm not even going to watch that. Anyway, thanks very much. We really do appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace, love, and soul, people.